is on what's transpiring in the Middle East. The United Nations Security Council members, except the United States, have declared the famine in Gaza a man-made crisis. They've urged Israel to lift all restrictions on aid and allow immediate humanitarian access. Let's in fact listen in to what one of the representatives of these countries has had to say.
We will also take this occasion to reject the falsehood that there is a policy of starvation in Gaza. Since the beginning of the war in Gaza, Israel has enabled an unprecedented amount of more than 2 million tons of aid to flow into the Gaza Strip. We are working closely with the government of Israel to increase the flow of aid without benefiting Hamas and are seeing tangible results. Instead of echoing false narratives which only embolden Hamas, prolong the war, and hurt civilians in Gaza, we urge the UN and the rest of this council to join us in working constructively to deliver aid to civilians that doesn't benefit Hamas.
Meanwhile, Israel has strongly rejected this UN-backed report declaring that the famine is already present in Gaza, demanding the Global Hunger Monitor immediately retract the findings, calling them biased and based on flawed data. Let's in fact listen in to what Eden Bartal has said.
Demands that the IPC will retract immediately its fabricated report and publish a notice.
Meanwhile, in a testimony to the Council, Save the Children NGO has described the toll on Gaza's youngest, saying that starving children are now so weak they do not even have the energy to cry. Listen in.
This is starvation as a method of war in its darkest terms. Save the Children's clinics in Gaza are overwhelmed by need, every bench packed with malnourished children and their mothers. Yet our clinics are almost silent now. Children do not have the strength to speak or even cry out in agony. They lie there, emaciated, quite literally wasting away. Their tiny bodies overcome by hunger and disease. The medical and specialized nutrition supplies they need all but used up.
Meanwhile, the United Kingdom's ambassador to the UN has called the famine entirely man-made and a moral outrage, joining calls for immediate action. Algeria's ambassador also held up photos of starving children and a slain journalist, blaming Israel for deepening the crisis in Gaza. He's described a 3-month-old who died drinking only water and a niece. Israel's envoy, meanwhile, has sharply rejected these claims, urging fact-checking and accusing Algeria of politicizing a tragedy. This is the latest that we are tracking from the Middle East. Meanwhile, joining us on the broadcast is Dr. Punsara Amarsinghe Kotalwala. He's a defense expert from the Defense University in Colombo in Sri Lanka. Thank you so much for taking our time sitting with us on NewsX. What's transpiring in Gaza? The UNSC members are now agreeing that it is a man-made crisis, that the famine is a man-made crisis, and all except the United States have backed the UN statement that has come out. It still seems that Trump administration is standing staunchly behind Netanyahu.
Yes, as you stated, except the United States, rest of the members in United Nations Security Council have unanimously admitted that it is a tremendously man-made crisis, wherein you can see the Israeli government keep stating that it is an engineered crisis. The famine is an engineered crisis. Whatever the circumstances would be, we need to understand that next few days can be highly decisive, as the former envoy of the British government to the Middle East, Mr. Tony Blair, is supposed to meet President Trump in the Washington, D.C., which can perhaps change the game in the Middle East. But having said that, I must confess that besides the famine, Netanyahu's government has not stepped down from the strong military actions. Last week, Netanyahu's government received its approval from the cabinet to crush the entire Gaza city hold. So on Wednesday, they made it quite clear that the citizens' evacuation from Gaza City is inevitable as the Israeli offensive is moving ahead to crush the entire the city hold. So with all these the trajectories which we are seeing in Gaza war front, the famine is a living tragedy. It is still ongoing. But the only issue that we need to understand in the long run is to which extent international community can pressurize without the support from Trump administration. I mean, as you know that for the past few months, Trump administration has not taken any offensive stances to prevent this ongoing tragedy in the Middle East, which is quite pathetic.
Indeed, you've spoken about international pressure, but pressure on Netanyahu is two-pronged at this point. There's also a lot of domestic discontent, especially with regards to his offensive in Gaza, because the people are concerned, within Israel are concerned for the hostages, and they say that the lives of the hostages are also in danger as the offensive is not quelling and Netanyahu is pushing for it. Do you think domestic concerns, domestic discontent, and the demonstrations that we've been seeing over the last couple of days within Israel could move Netanyahu?
Yes, I think since what happened on the 7th of October, the domestic content, the public reception in Israel has always been fluctuating. Even within his political party, the Likud party, who are adamantly the pro-nationalist, the pro-Jewish members, have taken more serious steps against Netanyahu's government, condemning Netanyahu's inability of upholding the internal security of the state of Israel. And yes, as you precisely identified, the question on the hostages seems to be the moot point in the entire episode related to the Middle East. At the moment, a number of hostages are still in Gaza, still under the under the custody of the Hamas terrorists. So when they are going to move ahead with this crushing offensive towards the Gaza city limits, of course, there are obvious concerns about their safety emanating from the Israel public opinion, because most of the relatives and the acquaintances and the friends of those hostages keep demonstrating against Netanyahu's government in streets of Jerusalem and also in Tel Aviv, which can simply pressurize the internal political structure of Benjamin Netanyahu's government, which is anyway at stake.
All right, sir. I request